It is that time, and that time, of course, is to make yet another 20-minute video. We have the trailer, it is up, and obviously we're gonna look at it. What the fuck did you think I was gonna do? So let's just get into it. It's a minute-long video, which is about 50 seconds longer than the previous one, and it's got stuff to look at that wasn't present in the other one, especially in regards to commands. So we're gonna break some of that down, and I think kind of get rid of some of the ideas that some people had about its passive ability. Um, some people, I also have it running it in slow motion just so it's easier for you guys to see, and so I can pause it when I want to a bit easier. Um, but yeah, so one of the interesting things in terms of the NPC which is about to come out is that the NPC is definitely a yandere, like 100%. Like they are in love with someone. Why it gotta be a male? I have no idea. Because it says it is. I don't even know who. So, you know. But yeah, there's the red eyes. But no idea who it is. But, I guess that's cool. Who knows? I have no idea how she ties it to the story yet. But anyway, so let's get into the command. So this first one that's coming up, I think is just her LMB command string, right? So this is like 1, 2, 3. And then she has a hold command. So this is the first big thing, everybody. When you're looking for a breaker, there's certain things you want to look for, right? You talk about sword, you talk about fist, you talk about hammer to some extent, but hammer actually lacks just one command in particular, but generally, wait, if you look at sword, you look at fist, what do they have? They have the LMB command string, right? They have an LMB hold command string, right? Where you could either commit to the last hit, or if you hold down the last hit of the LMB string, you'll do a multi-punch or a multi-jab or a or in Sword's case it's sword spin or whatever. Those are really useful commands because they make it really easy to hold the enemy for a long amount of time, which can set up for a lot of, team combos and stuff like that. Or just, delaying stuff, getting more time for your skills to go off cooldown and gain mana back, all that stuff. So generally, it's very good to have a hold command. That was one thing that both Scythe and Shield don't have, and Hammer does have, but it's not as great, but it does still have one. In general, though, you want a hold command. This one looks like it has a hold command, as you can see here. Again, it goes on. I mean, one you can tell from the endurance increase, because this is like yellow endurance, kind of. And it lasts for like quite a while. Um, and you actually look like you get decent movement, so it's definitely interesting. Also, that didn't look like it knocked back that far, so if you're not in that much end lag there, then it might not be that bad. And then you have this one. I'm not really too sure. Is this the... So I said I thought this might be the... If this weapon has an LRR command, which this is again something that Sword and Fist have. Now, be it Fists is really not that useful at all. I use it sometimes because it's actually pretty good at repositioning your character in certain scenarios, but outside of that, it's basically useless. Sword does have one, and it's like really, well, I won't say it's really useful, but it's actually like the best LR string for a breaker at least. Technically, Shield and Scythe, well, I guess Scythe has one. Scythe really more just has the fact that you can cancel into the right clicks at any point of the LMB string, so I don't really count it. And in Shield's case, it's just like an RMB stationary charge move that leads to nothing, and it can do decent break, but also doesn't track very well, so like Swords is generally the best. This one doesn't look that bad either. This one kind of gives me like remnants of Swords, because Swords is kind of doing like these long swings down, or these long swings that smash down as you like move forward a lot, and this kind of looks like that, except they're like horizontal cuts. So I think it does have an LR string, which again is still a bonus, because the bonus or the advantage of having an LR string, it is, or left click right click string, I just referred them to as L and R, is that the R attacks have increased endurance and usually slightly higher break. So it does give you the ability to sort of tank things. So this could be useful. And again, in this case, it looks like if you could shift here, you could follow up. This, I believe, is the dash attack. So, that's pretty good. I don't know what frame, of course, they cut the video, so I have no idea if this is the first frame. Because if it is, what is the FPS of this? It is at 60, so if we assume that this is actually 60, and we assume that this is the start frame, it'd be 1, 2, ah, it supposedly is 60, but it's not moving in this frame. So there's only 2 frames of movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Actually seems like a slower dash attack then, because if that wasn't even the earliest frame, of course this person might not have any action speed, which could help in some cases, but actually dash attack looks a little bit slower. I mean, at the end of the day, anything less than 20 frames is still basically unreactable, or at least unseeable, and most dash attacks are. Hammer's dash attack is basically the same speed, so not too crazy there. It does have a pretty like good vertical. Like that's a sword hammer vertical dash attack hitbox. Like if you have a Karma that has a dash attack, you want it to have this type of hitbox. Like this weapon trail, again, maybe it's more visually deceiving than it is, but this looks like it has the capability of hitting people like a lot higher than it should. Like the weapon trail is not even close to being attached. Like the blade is here, the weapon trail is up here. So I hope that this is just like visual deception and not actually a hitbox up here, but I have no idea. Because that would be a really good hitbox. Pretty good launch angle though, it looks like. Like that's a pretty good launch angle. I think swords is probably similar. Same thing for hammers, it's probably a similar one. And then it has a much longer LMB chain. I don't know how many. Like, it almost looks like it has 5 attacks. Or 6 or something, I don't know. That's 7. Yeah, it's a lot of attacks actually. And it doesn't seem like the last hit doesn't send to a full-on knockdown. It looks like it actually kind of launches them up. Because that was the last one. And you almost fall at the same speed, so I wonder if you can just combo off of that free. But anyway, so that was the dash attack into the aerial stuff, so that was pretty interesting. This is a shift attack, so this is what the shift attack looks like. Not bad range, I think. Again, I don't know, these weapon trails are always so frisky, and I have no idea how much that they purposely deceive people. Because these weapon trails are not attached to the weapon at all. Like these weapon trails are not even close. Like what is this? This weapon trail is not anywhere in line with the weapon. The furthest reach of the blade that's hitting the opponent is here. If there's a hitbox over here, that's like that would be kind of crazy. So I don't know. But there's a shift attack, and then this is where I think we kind of confirm. Maybe it has a special shift attack command, kind of similar to Shield. I'm not really sure. Because this is a launcher. That was a launcher, which they never specifically show in LMB into RMB launcher, which is also something that Sword and Fist has. Something that Shield has as well, something that Hammer has as well. Well, Shield kind of has to do it anyway, but Hammer, Fist, and Sword all have that, and it's always good to have it. I know not everybody uses it, but it is still good to have it because it's able, or it allows you to get a launch when you might not have the stamina to launch via skill canceling into a dash attack or something. Or just doing a dash attack in general. Like if you're already committing and you're like, okay, I could sword spin, but I might no stam, or maybe I can like dash attack, or maybe I can launch them and then like get a setup or something. Like it's just always good to have it because the more commands you have that like are useful, like the more flexible your karma can be in any given situation. Um, so good that it has another launcher, and then this I think is the RMB. So I think this is gonna this deconfirms a lot of stuff I've heard in like the lobbies and stuff like that. I've heard people talk about how they think the passive might have to do with like blood stacks or something that you get from your right click. And while I can't deny the blood stack part, and maybe you do have still like a bar, like 3 bars of something that you can get, this clearly to me looks like an RMB. And this is an RMB that goes purple. Like I don't think this is definitely an RMB charge. You're moving pretty slow while it's happening. Like this is just looking like an RMB that's fully charged. And then you unleash it. Okay, that's so buggy. Like look at how far she goes. She teleports there and then gets sent flying back a little bit. That is such a weird visual bug. Um, it does launch the opponent. Honestly, this kind of reminds me of Fist RMB, and if this is like a Fist RMB-esque RMB, that's a really good RMB. Like you want those types of RMBs. Like arguably, people say right now probably like Fist is one of the best. And then I've heard contention between Hammer and Swords. I personally think Swords is a little bit better just because Hammers takes way more stamina. Um, and like if you wanted to even follow up off of Hammers, you would literally have to take over half of your stamina bar just to follow up. So you would always need like a surplus amount of stamina whenever you hammer flip. Um, but in this case, I think it's just better than both. Like this looks like Fists, and you get a launcher there, and I 100% think you can shift cancel out of that or skill cancel out of that or use anything. But yeah, that the commands look good. They look promising and they look fun or at least free. Again, it looks like this karma has like a multitude of options. The issues I always had with breakers like Shield and Scythe, despite the fact that I like Shield conceptually and I like Scythe conceptually, is that they lack a lot of commands. They don't have what most people thought were pretty basic commands. Like again, when Fist and Sword were released, and even when Hammer was released, even though Hammer didn't have the left click, right click stuff, we kind of thought that maybe it made up for it because it had a dash right click and it had more functionality outside of or from the actual R&B charge. Right, you could hammer flip or you could do the hammer flip combo just by releasing R&B versus doing the left click variation. So it had some things to make up for the fact that it didn't have an LR. But generally, like there were commands that we always thought breakers were like kind of guaranteed to have. We thought that they were guaranteed to have a launcher because again, hammer, sword through hammer had it. We thought that they were guaranteed to have a hold command. We thought they were guaranteed to have an R&B command that like actually functions. We kind of just assumed this stuff for granted. And then Scythe came out and Shield came out and none of them had it. And so they became a lot linear, or Scythe and Shield became a lot linear in nature because of it, which meant that like their combo structures were generally very simple, especially Shield. I think Scythe has more ability to mix up because its right clicks are still relatively flexible, even though they are always going to be the same. Whereas with Shield, your combo structure is literally you go up, you go down. There's no in between, especially not with Tech Roll. When Tech Roll wasn't a thing, you could maybe mix it up a little bit by incorporating some LRs with some skills. Um, but it's literally like you do dash attack. If you catch someone with dash attack, you do the air commands. You right click to go down. You do ground LMBs. You do the right click again. You go back up into the air and you rinse and repeat. Like that's how it is. At most you use a skill maybe and you mix up with a shift attack, but then you either go into the right click which launches anyway, or you go into the left click which leads into the right click launcher anyway, and you still go up into the air. Like it's always the same for Shield. This karma though, it looks like it could choose, hey, I'm going to launch you into the air again. It could choose, oh, I'm just going to hold you instead. Oh, I'm going to try to go for my LRR. Like there's other things, like there's a multitude of options that this karma has for grounded combos, and it seems like it can keep itself on the ground probably more in line with something like Sword or Fist can. So that's generally good because you don't really want to go to the air unless you're planning on switching to a Slayer like Kunai or really any Slayer up there, but um, I wouldn't always want to be up there. Um, but again, I think it has really good commands. Let's get into the skills. Because they do show off, obviously there's some skills that they show off from before, but there's a couple of new ones. Definitely are skills though that I think are still inspired by Crimson Avenger or Bloody Queen. Because this first one looks like a Bloodstinger or something like that. I don't know, it's like the Transcendence, the first Transcendence skill that I think Crimson Avenger gets. It is looks like yellow endurance though, but you kind of just like teleport and lunge at the enemy. Honestly, this one kind of doesn't look like it would be that amazing. It does launch instantly, and the animation is kind of cool. And I assume you get a follow up there, but I'm not really sure about that one. Also guaranteed this is a new skill, so you have at least 3 purple skills, which is already good. And I don't even think they showed Awakening yet, so I still don't know about that one. But this one is like, I will say a lot of the skills actually aren't instant launch skills, which is definitely a bit of a detriment. Again, I'm fine with that though. I personally like prefer it, but yeah, so there's like this tornado skill. It does knock away. I don't know if you can follow up off of it or not. I have no idea. Again, a lot of these skills could vary a lot depending on the shift window, especially a skill like this one, which we already saw from the previous trailer. Here is the blood aura happening. They're just showing it off in the same clip though, so it's not really adding anymore. Here's the original part of the launcher skill. I thought that the first hit was the first uppercut slash. It's not. You have the sideways hit first, which does not launch instantly. It does give very few time for you to shift though. Like you have to shift immediately. But it is interesting though because that could be a detrimental skill. Like that means that the skill kind of has like the risk of rising wings, where even if it connects, if the opponent has a shift ready, like they might get out 100%. 100%. Now I could be wrong in that first hit kind of has like the thing that Moonslash has, where it kind of looks like they're grounded, but they can't actually shift out. I have no idea. Either way, clearly I think this skill can be used in a combo. In terms of neutral though, it looks a little bit more risky in that regard. Then you have this skill. I still don't actually know if you can shift out of this one. It almost looks like you can't, but I'm not really sure. And actually, how many skills in total did they show off? So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know that 5. So they only showed off 5, right? Unless we're under the assumption that the blood aura is its own skill, which would be 6 then. But and then of course we don't have the awakening skill either. So, and then they show off the rage skill, which is Bloodstorm and Bloodthirst. I believe that they show off Bloodthirst first, which somebody told me basically puts you into that Bloodlust aura, like on cast while stunning the opponent. So this is the Bloodlust. So you kind of like leap, and I don't know if it tracks the opponent because I don't actually see. You're in iframes here. But yeah, so they say like this activates the Blood aura and stuns the opponent. Yeah. And then this one, it's kind of a neat animation, but yeah, it's kind of like this is definitely the ult one, unless for some reason they switched them. I don't know why you would. But this one almost looks more similar to something like, it's kind of like Shield's ult 3 almost, is what I'd kind of compare it to, because it doesn't look like a sword ult 1. It's not a sword ult 1. Honestly, it's kind of more reminiscent of what I feel like DS's tornado maybe should have been. But I actually almost wonder if you could combo off of that. I'm trying to think. Because I don't know when the animation, it's launching upwards. I don't know when your or how long your animation locked there. But I think that is about it. And so just to wrap up the skills, right? Let's go back to them. Most of them, one of the things I noticed, right, there's no stun skills, at least out of these 5, which, again, if it is 5, let me recount again. So we have this skill, and this skill, which were all shown off before, and then we have this one and this one. So 3 of them have purple endurance, 2 of them have, well, one of them has yellow, one of them has red. The projectile skill is still always probably going to be good. This skill I'm not too sure about. This one kind of seems a little slow. I'm not gonna lie. Let me look at the frame data of it again. Like, I can't even tell when they activate it, so I'm just gonna go based off on the first frame I can tell. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I mean, to some extent it might still be good. This one is an instant launcher, and if it does a lot of break, it could, like, this could be essentially the stun hit or whatever. Just doesn't stun. But if it does a lot of break and you can follow up, like, I could see this being a neutral skill. This one I'm also curious about. I'm genuinely curious because this one's like a pretty big AoE. Oh, wait a second. I just noticed that. Okay, that's a slow debuff, right? That's a slow debuff, not a rend. Although I think they have like very similar symbols, don't they? I don't remember, but that's just a slow debuff. So it does have a skill that inflicts a slow debuff, and that's this one, which is interesting. This one definitely has a bit of startup though, But I just want to know. It sends them really far away though. Like I don't know if it would even be worth it to use that skill. Cause unless like again the shift window is really good on it, I don't see how you'd be able to follow up on that because it sends them really far away. Like it's almost like it kind of almost looks like just like a GR that knocks down or something. I mean, again, if it has like really high break, there could obviously be some reason to use it, especially if you're DB. You can use it if it has really high break. Doesn't matter if it knocks down because you just have peel tools and other neutral tools to deal with. So, and then again, you have this one, which basically was the same as before. And then again, the blood aura thing, which I still think is based off on distance. Yeah, and then you have this skill again, cool animation, but I don't know if you can. Like this is it looks like a standing hit stun. So I do think you can shift out of that before it hits. But again, not too sure. But then once it connects, like this skill is gonna be really good. Like either way, I think this skill could be really good. Obviously, some people will ask like, oh, what if it can be used in the air? It doesn't look like it can be used in the air specifically because that ground attack exists. I mean, again, I guess to some extent maybe that doesn't completely count it out, but I don't think this skill can be used in the air, which is good. I still don't think it'll be a terrible skill, especially if you are using it in a combo, because again, it's just gonna be so easy to anti-peel with it. I guess some of it depends on the break, although clearly the first hit does do break standing, so if it breaks red, then you're basically pretty fine to everything. Um, and then yeah, you have this skill, which again, a lot of it depends on the shift window. Like I don't know. Like you're clearly out of it here, which is like also I think one of the things is I wanted to take a look at its shift again. I think it has a normal shift. Like I only see part of it, but I'm assuming it's a roll type shift. Cause that's the aerial combo, which I think does look pretty cool. I do like the animations on this Karma a decent amount. Yeah, I'm thinking it's some type of roll. It looks like they're flipping over. So, doesn't have a bad shift, perhaps. We'll have to look at the duration of the iframes and when you can movement cancel out. But definitely looks like it's gonna have like pretty decent stuff when it comes to that. And again, I don't know how action speed influences all this. The R&B looks amazing. Um, but yeah. So again, commands looking really good. Skills definitely a little bit more iffy. There's some skills, again, a lot of them could just depend on the properties and the numbers. Like there are skills there that could be really good. If a lot of them you can shift out of and combo off of them, like they're gonna be really good then. Like the dread weapon skill, it will be good. The uppercut skill I think still will be good. Obviously don't use it on somebody who has a shift because there's a chance it might not, they'll shift out before you even get launched. But and then again you have the one at the beginning, like this one is if this one has really high break, like this is just gonna be a neutral skill. It's almost like an R&B charge in itself. Basically just a stun hit. We'll see if it has good tracking too. Maybe it'd be almost like the Fist Awakening skill, except with higher break, lower endurance. Like this could be really good. Again, this skill could also again be pretty good. It's just again. Although, also, that doesn't even look like it launches, almost. It literally doesn't even look like it launches. Like, it kind of just looks like it pushes them away. So I have no idea what this skill does. It clearly puts a debuff on them, but outside of that, I'm not really sure. But again, so this skill could have some really good properties about it. Maybe you can combo with it, especially if you are using it on an airborne person. I have no idea. This skill, again, could be really good. Obviously doesn't launch into the third hit, but could still be really good. Again, same thing for this skill. Obviously has the shift thing, but this one obviously could also be really good. It looks like it has a lot of hits too. This could do a lot of damage. And the rage skills actually both look pretty good, right? Like if you talk about the weaknesses of like ult 1s on Karmas, you think sword, you think scythe. even Fist I think has a minor window, but it is a lot harder to punish. I barely see it happen. Um, but like Sword and Scythe have the risk of when they whiff it, like you can get punished quite easily. In fact, in Sword's case, you can get punished whether you whiff it or hit it. Uh, Scythes, I don't think you can be punished if you hit it, but I don't like if there is a gap, it's very small. But if you whiff it, you can get punished super super easily. Same thing for both of them. Um, Fist not so much, Hammer not so much, but they also don't deal as much damage. I mean Fist does okay damage, but Hammers is like so weird and like the especially like the cast ult one, the range that they say the little circle indicator you get is not true to the hitbox. It's much smaller, which is really annoying. Um, and then you have like Shield ult 1, which can 100% be punished on whiff, and yeah, it just doesn't even do that much good damage. So I'm not too sure how much damage these ults are gonna do. Again, Bloodlust almost looks like Leap, so it almost looks like it has a Leap skill, which is kind of funny. It's an iframe Leap skill, which again, I can't tell if it's slowing down the enemy here because the enemy's not even moving or doing anything in the first place, but it does stun them. So depending on how things go, that could be a really good ult. Obviously, depending on how broken Bloodlust is, it could be a really good ult. Um, and then yeah, we have the ult one, which looks just more like a ranged ult. It's like or like a fixed distance ult cast. Like it's like having like Orb ult 1 or Hammer ult 1, or even again, kind of think more like Tornado, except in this case, instead of Tornado not doing anything on grounded opponents, this one actually lifts them. Like this looks like what Tornado should have been. Um, and so it doesn't even look like it like it looks like you'll probably be fine even on whiff because you still have iframes even here when the skill's like almost finished. So, but that is about it, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this analysis a little bit, and I'm excited to see how the karma is in game, and I'll probably be streaming later tonight. There's like a pretty good chance of that happening. So, yeah, see you guys then.